It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimpson and Kevin Scholla.
Susan Stimpson, hello.
Hello, Kevin. Great to be with you as we head into this Thanksgiving week.
Yes, Thanksgiving coming up this week, of course, and a lot to be thankful for, no doubt. And I know that you have a special take on things this week because of something your son and your husband are getting the opportunity to do.
As we speak, they are camping at Jamestown and celebrating with the Scout troop and doing their own Thanksgiving dinner. And I just thought that it might be appropriate as we're headed into Thanksgiving to talk about what really happened at Jamestown, the first permanent settlement in the United States, and it's actually where the real first Thanksgiving was held.
Well, I mean, just such an awesome opportunity for your family to be in that area and be able to do that. But, you know, I do think so often, I know it sounds kind of cliche, and we talk about saying, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King. We say people's names and say they'd roll over in their graves if they saw some of the things that are going on today. But, well before the Thanksgiving season, I've thought of the Pilgrims so many times and just thought of all that they went through, persecution, trying to be able to be free here religiously and in other ways. And then some of the things that are happening in Washington today, it just, it's unbelievable. You can't say enough about what was done, and you don't want their efforts to go to waste.
That's right. And if you go back to the original landing there of the 104 settlers who came over from England, they came into Jamestown, but they did come on a mission. And there were two competing missions. One, it was for gold, it was for money with the Virginia Company, but they also had a mission as well to consecrate it to God. And there was a reverend who was on the ship. There were three of them that left England, and his name was Reverend Robert Hunt. And the seas were so tumultuous and so awful that everyone was very, very sick, including Reverend Hunt. And they were considering turning back. And he urged everyone to keep going. He was very ill himself. So his leadership among the three ships was quite substantial. And after months of a very, very difficult crossing over into the new land, they came into the Chesapeake Bay, and they called it Cape Henry. But Reverend Hunt was able to convince them for 3 days to wait, to be repentant and contrite, so that when they walked on the shore, that they would have the right spirit and the right attitude about that. And I just think about that horrible trip that they had coming across the seas, and they were willing to follow his leadership and to do that before they went on to land. And then as they came onto land, the one thing the Virginia Company leadership had insisted that they brought with them was a wooden cross, and they planted that into the ground, and they consecrated the continent to the glory of God. And what I think that means to us today is what it meant then. It's freedom. So they were dedicating it to the glory of God, but there were also competing things that had happened on the way over. There's greed, there's selfishness, there was fighting, many more challenges as they settled the colony. But the overarching thing that happened when they first came to shore was they consecrated it to God. And so I think that we've seen a lot of those struggles, the horrible struggle of slavery and all of the other things that have happened in America. But at the root of it is your freedom to worship your God as you see fit, and it's not to force anything on anyone, but that's also the beauty of God's relationship with us. He gives us free will to worship Him, and I think that we need to remember that, and I think that that's been part of the blessing on our nation, is that we're honoring God, and my concern is that we're not properly thankful for all that He has given us, and if we're not careful, we may lose those freedoms.
Well, that's such an amazing story, and I mean, I'm just thankful that your son and all these scouts and those who are involved are able to hear this, and certainly something that I hope people will be able to spread the message of things of that nature, along, of course, with the turkey and the cranberries and the whole thing.
That's right. It's a great time to just be with family and to just be thankful for what we do have.
Well, absolutely, and you're speaking about God's power and love. As my 5-year-old daughter puts it, she says He loves us all the time, even my little brother. So.
Oh, that's the best way to put it, right? But
even when he's doing certain things. So, but listen, Susan, we really appreciate that. That is a tremendous take, especially for this week. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And we're very thankful for Susan Stimpson here on Saronet Radio.
great, Kevin. Thanks. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Susan Stimpson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week.